Let's move on and let's talk about James Maddison, because obviously James Maddison, in my opinion, he's had a fairly good season this year, but he was taken off at halftime in the West Ham game, much to his dismay. And Spurs did get better in that second half with Pape Matar giving us a bit more balance, I think, in that midfield, a bit more running off the ball, and we went on to win the game. Do you feel like Maddison should retain his spot for the next Premier League game, or should we persist with maybe what we went in the second half with Pape Matar coming in?
Well, I'm going to start with complete honesty. And when that substitution was made, I was actually like, what are you doing? This is 1-1. We've got taken off a creative player, what you Nathan Sarr on. Oh, God. And then thinking that it's going to be as bad as Brighton again. I was a little bit concerned, if I'm absolutely honest with you. I did see something, although I don't know how true this is, that Maddison created the most first chance in the first half. And obviously it was his run, Kulusevski as well. I think in answer to your question, I don't think it's a case of dropping Maddison. I think it's going to be the right players for the right games against the right opposition, because we're now shown to have strength in depth and, dare I say it, adapting to something that's going on, an in-game management thing that we can now do, changing that up. There was a bit of where Kulusevski and Maddison are pushing forward quite a bit. There was a bit more of a gap that Basuma had to deal with on his own, and obviously Sarr didn't do that as much within hindsight, which is why I'm not a manager and Ange is. I wasn't up for that change, but I obviously was 15 minutes later after it happening. I think Maddison's great, but I maybe think against the low block sort of team, we might need new two number 10s. But against maybe your Chelseas and your Man Cities and your top clubs there, you would need maybe more of a Basuma and Bentancur or Sarr in there as well. Definitely wouldn't drop Kulusevski. Can't do that. So that's where I think he is needed to rotate rather than drop in my mind. For example, I wouldn't mind. He might get a start on Thursday if that's thinking if he's not going to be playing him against Palace. I'm not too sure. So. But then we've got
it's interesting, isn't it? Because Maddison and Decky have created such a good dynamic together, haven't they, in the games? But before the West Ham game, and even in the West Ham game, as you say, I don't think Maddison was playing badly. And not only did he create the most chances in that first half, he actually created more chances in that half than anyone else in the Premier League did the whole weekend.
Yeah.
So that goes to show, how. I think. Do you think it was help though? Because Spurs did have 12 corners in the first half, and he did take all of them.
Well, we must have a few of them must have been good corners then, because even though I don't remember too many of them being good, a few of them must have hit the target. I don't know if any of them were from corners or not. Obviously, he also got an assist for Kulusevski's
brilliant assist,
which was a nice assist as well. Ran half the pitch and laid it into Kulusevski. And not only did he do that, people don't appreciate, but his run from inside to out then creates that space for Decky to cut inside and get that goal. So I think he deserves credit. Obviously, as you say, James. Brilliant foresight from Ange to take him off and bring on Sarr and do that tactical switch. But do we want to risk losing that kind of double-edged creative sword that we have with Decky and Maddison together on a more regular basis, or is it like do we want to persist with it and just do like what we did on Saturday? If it's not working, then we bring on Sarr, or is there a case that actually having Sarr there just in general gives us better balance, and maybe we should be starting with Sarr next to Hideki?
Well, the best thing about that question is, for the first time in a long time, really, overall, we've got these options. We've got that beautiful problem where we have got something that we can change if it's not quite working now. I can't remember a Tottenham team that had too much of that in the midfield, where we go, okay, this isn't working, so we need to adapt. And obviously, Ange has seen that. The other thing is that it worked, and it kind of worked both ways, really. The first half wasn't terrible by Tottenham. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible by Tottenham, and Maddison did create a lot. So both options do kind of work, but and he can see that his in-game management was so good there that we'll be using the right players at the right times. And I think you're also going to be throwing in Bergvall into that mix, and I want to see a lot more of him as well. So I think it's a great time at the club at the minute if things like this are happening. I did, although that capitulation against Brighton, you got to think about the games before that, and we just tore Manchester United apart at Old Trafford. It's a good time, and we've got some options, and the players have obviously been bollocked after Brighton, but the players believe in Ange ball, and I think this is what his whole thing is about, shutting out the outside noise. If the players believe it, then we're going to be going places. And they did believe, didn't they, and that they could carry on and get the win. So, yeah, I mean, I like the fact that we've got all these options, and I think it's going to be a case of which opposition is going to suit which midfield. And the fact that I got it wrong, I've been bringing it off, I'm probably not the best place to see. Like, I wanted to see Maddison's carry on. I don't know who else did, but I didn't like Maddison coming off when we were at 1-1. I just didn't understand it, but I was proved wrong, thankfully.
Yeah, when I saw Sarr coming on, I was like, there's got to be for Basuma, but I thought Basuma was having a really good game as well. Yeah. So I didn't really understand. I thought maybe someone had taken a knock, but no, it was purely tactical. And do you think something like that, because when you look at Maddison, vice-captain of the club, omitted from the England squad for the Euros, omitted from the last couple of international squads this year as well, and then coming off at half-time, do you think something like that can knock his confidence, or do you think he won't be affected like that and maybe he'll just come back stronger?
Could go two ways. I don't really know Maddison's character inside out, but you can see he's the sort of person that could possibly take it to heart. But he had a great pre-season and a good start to the season. He was fantastic against Leicester, I thought, as well at the start of the season in that game. And I think that was probably down to having Kulusevski and Bergvall breathing down his neck. I remember talking in the interviews afterwards saying, when it comes to on the match day, I'm so focused and I can do this. I can bigging himself up almost. And he didn't really see that from a player before, from Maddison before. So I think it can go two ways, and it's all down to him in which way. And I think there's no better really man management on that with Ange getting in his ear and telling him that this is still completely down to you, and it's how you react to this. And you're a big player, you're a vice captain, you've got to be leading the others. He's definitely fantastic at all that, Ange, isn't he? So I still think we're going to see the best of Maddison. But I don't think it's a case of dropping him. No, I think it's in my head I see it as gentle rotation, like all the kind of top clubs do. They don't make wholesale changes. They make gentle rotation in areas to tactically change.
But for you, Decky's just playing so well at the moment. You just feel like Decky's above him in the pecking order for the time being. Yeah,
I think Decky's not only above him. I honestly believe. My guess is he'll be player of the season for Spurs this season, and I think he'll be one of the top in the whole of the Premier League. I think he's been that good. He's been incredible. He's been a revelation. I saw him in that position at the start of last season when we was 1-0 down at Sheffield United that time, and he pulled the strings to get them two kind of last-minute goals, and I liked it then. You know what I mean? He's brilliant. When he was out on the wing, he was getting found out a little bit. He was getting worked out, and people kind of predictable, I suppose, a little bit. And in the middle, he's so strong as well. When you look back at him keeping the ball, he's so strong, and he could be up there. Maybe this name obviously is iconic, but with the Moussa Dembélés, if he carries on with this form and the kind of way he plays and keeps the ball, it's superb.
Could be a Moussa Dembélé with end product.
Yeah, which is a lot of his good work is stuff which I think stats a lot of the time don't pick up, albeit he is, I mean, there are definitely stats that display how good he is. But if you're looking at just barefaced goals and assists, I think it's 2 goals, 1 assist or something. And, they're not like he's not up there yet with like the best forwards in the league right now in terms of those numbers. And maybe that's just why he's gone a bit under the radar when it comes to general discussion about Kulusevski, because obviously Spurs fans can see week in, week out how good he is, because we're watching the whole 90 minutes, and so much of his good work happens, in that middle of the park where he's gliding past players and he's keeping the ball in these tight situations. Like, how the hell has he still got it and stuff like that? Yeah, I talk to general fans. I've seen other fans talk about him, and they don't realise how good he is. They still think he's inconsistent. They still think, oh, is he that player, who's going to take you to the next level? Is he a player that is good enough to be playing week in, week out in that position? I'm like, you clearly are watching us, are you? So do you think it's just a case of to really appreciate Decky, if you all you have to do is just watch him for 90 minutes, you see what he brings?
I think what you're saying there at the end, I think you get a lot more flavour for what he brings when you're at the stadium, like watching his off the ball stuff. But he's also the captain of Sweden, wasn't he, during the international breaks? It's a massive thing. So it's not just Tottenham fans that are seeing this, like to captain your country. And we've got that spine almost now. We've got, because Basuma's captain of Mali, I think, and Kulusevski's now captain of Sweden. We've got Son captain of South Korea. we're starting to get this leadership that again this club has screamed out for so many years. But I can't say enough about Kulusevski. I think he's been superb. But to be in the stadium and watch him and watch where he takes players away and stuff like that, similar again to Solanke and Son, was superb. But the only person I've seen that's like him with keeping that ball is Dembele, and I've missed Dembele since the very day that he went. That's a big gaping hole in Spurs. So if he can get anywhere near to closing that hole for me, it'll be amazing.
Yeah, I called him on the watch along on the weekend a ball retention wizard. I mean, the guy just can't lose the ball even if he tries to. I mean, the guy is a phenomenon this season, Dejan Kulusevski. And it's something I was calling for all of last season. Get him in the middle because you're wasting him out on the right. And I was even say if you're going to keep him on the right, there's no point keeping him at this football club because you're just wasting him. You're just wasting the talent that he does have. So I can't be happy with Kulusevski. I completely agree with you. If he carries on in this vein of form from now to the end of the season, he will be considered as one of the best players in the Premier League come the end of the season. And even we were talking to West Ham Fan TV before the game, and the subject of Kulusevski comes on, and he's like, yeah, but Kulusevski's been rubbish for you, hasn't he? And I was like, what? What are you saying? He was like, you clearly haven't watched us then, have you?
Who's that reporter as well? That tweet that that always comes out when they do it, wasn't it? Is that the reporter that said
the Juventus reporter?
Yeah.
When we first signed him, he said you have fun with Kulusevski. You can't beat a man or something.
Yeah. Idiots, man, idiots. The guy has got pure talent.
The only thing as well, long may he stay off other people's radars. I don't mind. Do you know what I mean? Like he's.
I'm happy with it.
For sure. And if people aren't giving him extra focus, it just means he can do more damage. That's all that means.
Yeah, I'm sure the management of other clubs, he's not going under the radar from
probably.
them.
Probably.
Let's talk about our number